Amma and Dan, as I worked this story this week, several Tesla drivers posted videos online that they say showed their autopilot veering off course. The company tells me today they have made it clear autopilot is a driver assistance system that requires you to pay attention to the road at all times. You're seeing the road from a big rig, eastbound Highway 92 just before the 880 merge, September 21st, 2017. Notice the low morning sun. The trucker comes upon a crash that just happened and rushes to help. The car's driver, who does not want to be identified, tells me he had autopilot on in his Tesla Model S. The sun got in his eyes, and by the time he wanted to take over, the car slammed into the merge divider. The CHP confirms the driver told officers his autopilot was on. Unlike the crash that killed Walter Wong, the safety barrier was in working order. This driver walked away uninjured.
The low sun angle could also pose a problem for the cameras that Tesla uses to drive.
I showed the photos and video to attorney and consultant from SafeSelfDrive.org, Jim McPherson. He points to similarities between the September crash and the one that killed Walter Wong in Mountain View 12 days ago. Both Teslas had low morning sun, both traveling at highway speeds, both on autopilot, and both may become confused by the road markings.
You have a difference in the pavement color. You have white lines that autopilot usually uses to center itself within the lane.
A Tesla owner who commutes the same route Walter Wong did before he died tells me he recorded a trip by the accident scene this week while on autopilot.
The car definitely starts swerving left without giving me any warnings, right into that divider.
Watch as the autopilot appears to follow that white line on the left and head toward the barrier. He says he had to take over the wheel and swerve the safety. Also this week, a general contractor from Chicago told me the autopilot on his Model X often has problems at the same location on his commute, so he made this recording. Autopilot appears to take him straight at a barrier. He says he had to brake to avoid a crash. Today, a Tesla spokeswoman told me autopilot is intended for use only with a fully attentive driver and that it does not prevent all accidents. Such a standard would be impossible, but it makes them much less likely to occur. The Model X owner's manual is clear that the autopilot is a beta feature and never depend on auto steer to determine an appropriate driving path. Always be prepared to take immediate action. Failure to follow these instructions could cause damage, serious injury, or death.
Drivers try to do other things while they're driving. They're not paying attention, and those are situations in which they get in trouble.
UC Berkeley research professor Stephen Schladover is considered a pioneer in self-driving technology. He tells me Tesla should take a cue from GM's Smart Crew system that aims cameras at the driver.
Proprietary head tracking software helps make sure your eyes are on the road.
Schladover says people should be realistic about the limitations of these self-driving systems at this point in time.
We have to recognize we've got to crawl before we walk, we got to walk before we run. And we're still at the crawling stage with this technology.
There is one big difference in the crashes. The safety barrier Walter Wong hit had been collapsed by another crash 11 days before. He basically hit a wall and died. And this other driver who hit the working smart cushion walked away. I reached Walter's brother. Planning for a public service is still underway. And today, he says the family has hired an attorney finally.